This is the projection box of the BFI IMAX, and on the platter here is DUNE Part 2, one of only a dozen 1570 IMAX prints in the world. On the platter above is Oppenheimer, the Christopher Nolan filmmaking masterclass that is probably why the 12 DUNE Part 2 1570 prints, which are blow-ups from the 4K digital video master file, have been struck. The screenings of this print have been another sellout, suggesting that something encouraging is happening to cinema, with people returning to cinemas fueled by the return of large format film prints. But the IMAX laser projector was putting beautiful imagery on screen during our visit. This was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it looked very filmic, and with the added benefit of being on that huge 85-foot wide screen. So digital video projection is also something impressive in this great cinema. This new 4K laser projector was in the process of being installed to replace an older 2K machine. It's never a simple process to install equipment into a cinema projection box, let alone one as complicated as the IMAX in Waterloo. A new video scaler is also being installed, but it's quite a long way from the equipment rack to the video projector. Chief Michael Ford was under pressure as the new machine was to premiere at an event the following evening, but he seemed to be doing pretty well by the time we left, so I'm sure there was no trouble at all. Also on duty in the BFI IMAX projection box is this Century dual gauge 70mm and 35mm film projector, and I would love to see this in action one day. It is another beautiful machine, a film projector work of art. In 2023, the British Film Institute held a Film on Film festival, which was a big success, and that looks set to be repeated in 2025. So perhaps the venerable Century projector will be in action for that. I still haven't managed to get to see the DUNE Part 2 1570 print, but I do still plan to. This is a strip of 3 frames Michael sent me shortly after the film opened, and the quality looks good. It is a blow-up though, so don't expect Oppenheimer quality. I believe there is getting on for an hour of 1.43:1 ratio imagery, so it should be a pretty special experience. There are also standard 70mm prints of DUNE Part 2 out there, and one is at the Prince Charles Cinema just off Leicester Square in the West End of London, and just a little way up from the BFI IMAX in Waterloo. The Prince Charles shows a lot of film, so it's worth keeping an eye on their website. The standard 70mm print of DUNE Part 2 will be the 2.20:1 aspect ratio throughout, and these frames from Dunkirk illustrate the size differential. 1570 is 3 times the size of standard 70mm, but look how much bigger standard 70mm is compared to 35mm. It's still very special. So if you're a big fan of Frank Herbert's Dune books and or the films, the Prince Charles might well be worth a visit or two. No trip into London for me now would be complete without a look around the original HMV store on Oxford Street. It has a large 4K section, and the release I'm most often asked to take a look at currently is Aliens. It's a very nice looking pack, but as I know the film off by heart, this one can wait a while. For those of us out there who collect steelbooks, this bottom shelf is always worth a look, but most of all, I just like being able to go into this store again. We also stopped in at FOPP, just off Cambridge Circus along Shaftesbury Avenue. FOPP is far more focused on physical media than the HMV stores, and you'll find Blu-rays, 4Ks and DVDs on both the ground floor and the lower ground, but mainly the lower ground. These stores tend to be quite dangerous for my wallet, but I seem to get off quite lightly this time, and in HMV I made just 2 purchases, one of which shows the power of browsing in a shop rather than on web shopping. This is a film I didn't know I needed, but it looks like more one for John and Mondo Chelovek movies than me, as it turns out, but seems to be a lot of naked girls in this, so it might be a bit difficult watch for some, but it's a French film that's described as a science fiction thriller, and with such a beautiful pack I thought this one looked interesting, so I'll give it a try. This is a limited edition from Indicator, and this is number 1100 of 6000, and I believe there's been 4000 standard Blu-rays as well. So if you're into a 1980 science fiction thriller from France, that one could be for you. And the other film I picked up, the other 4K disc, is Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, because we recently watched, somewhere here, The Hitman's Bodyguard on Blu-ray, which we got for £2 in a local store. And so I enjoyed that so much, we both enjoyed that so much, I thought we got to have a look at the sequel. And this actually in HMV with any other purchase was £9.99, so how could you leave that on the shelf? Well, I didn't, did I? So that was HMV, and in FOPP finally got the last film of Michael Caine and Glenda Jackson, The Great Escaper, which I did want to go and see at the cinema at the time. I was even prepared to go in and just see it in a pretty substandard place, but I just didn't get the chance. Now I'm going to watch this at home in our home cinema on Blu-ray, so hope that looks as good as the trailer, and I tend to find anything with Michael Caine in it worth watching, so that one should be fun. And the other one was another one that shows the power of browsing in a physical shop, because this was a film I didn't know I needed, I didn't even know it existed, and when I saw this beautiful cover I actually picked it up, looked at it and saw the all-important there, Francis Ford Coppola. So this is One from the Heart. It looks like a story about a couple that go to Las Vegas in search of romance, and do they give their own romance one last try, or do they go their own way? So quite an expensive release, but it's a beautiful pack, and there's actually 4 discs in this. You've got duplicates of the 4Ks and the Blu-rays. So if anything happens to the 4Ks, at least I'll still have the Blu-rays. But it seems similar to another Francis Ford Coppola pack, but not as big, and that was the release for The Outsiders, which came with 4 discs plus a CD of the soundtrack and a couple of posters and a few other things, a booklet and maybe some art cards as well, or some front of house reproductions. So I don't think that's the best film ever made, but I did enjoy it, and a very nice pack, which I think I got for £22 from CEX. So this one's a little more expensive, but how can you turn down something looking as beautiful as that when it's on 4K? Looks like it's going to be interesting. I think it says here it's got an aspect ratio of 1.37 to 1, so that's something different. But anyway, that's our latest adventure in London. Before I go, I just want to say hello to Benjamin and Carla, who I met in FOPP. Very nice to meet you. Okay, I think that brings us to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and perhaps consider subscribing, so I'll be encouraged to carry on creating content like this. Until the next video, bye bye for now.